Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are looking at, that's not what we're looking at, hang on, wrong notes. The Enforcer's Tale by Joanne Kimm. I do not like how uncomfortable this book made me. This is one I got through this is another one that I flew through. It is an easy read, and it's engaging, but so the story follows Joseph young. When he's 13, there's a town meeting, and they get some news that the government has created the Coalition for Children, or the Children's Coalition. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to go into homes, investigate the homes, and if the children are not being cared for the way the coalition thinks they should be cared for, they're going to take the children and place them in new homes. The children are then forbidden to ever go back and see their families again for fear of their families being killed. And Joseph lives with his mother, and he knows that there's a really good chance that he may be one of the kids taken because his father has passed away and it's just him and his mom. They're barely making ends meet. The story actually opens with him stealing some eggs from Mrs. Denver, and Mrs. Denver is one of those very kindly old ladies that she talks a big talk and she acts tough, but she's got a soft place. Like she tells Father Andrew, if Joseph would just come and ask me for the eggs, I'd gladly give them to him. He doesn't have to steal them. But Joseph has too much pride to ask for eggs. So he's constantly climbing over the fence to steal some eggs and climb back over. And Miss Denver will sit there and she'll chase him with a broom, and then he'll get over, she'll like, Joseph Young, can't let me catch you in my chicken coop again. And he runs off and she just sits there laughing at him. And eventually comes up with the idea of, well, what if I have him come to help me out on the farm and then I can just pay him in eggs, you know? And that way his pride is intact and he's not having to resort to stealing food. But because of his situation, he knows that there's a really good chance he's going to end up getting taken from his mother, and he does his best to hide the other children that he knows are potentially going to be taken. And it doesn't end up working out. He ends up getting taken into the coalition, and after he decides that he's going to work his way up in the ranks and be the best coalition enforcer he can, for no other reason than to tear the establishment down and to break it from the inside out. And so he quickly rises through the ranks and he becomes a very prominent enforcer. They put him in the enforcers program, and when he's 16, the supreme commander of the coalition adopts him and takes him into his home, where he is basically put on display by Martha, the commander's wife, who has no desire to have kids. She doesn't like kids. She doesn't want kids. But Joseph isn't a child, he's a teenager, and she decides to groom him in her image, and he plays along with the part. But there's so much danger that he puts himself in to save these other kids, and he's constantly watching these other kids and he has to be a part of that program. He's one of the people that is ripping kids from their families. And in some cases, they're not even investigating the homes. They're not doing any interviews. One guy, Sam, he's raising his daughter. He's got a very affluent job. He's a tax accountant. He's an accountant, and he makes a lot of good. He makes very good money. He has a very upstanding job. His daughter is very well prepared, taken care of, but the coalition comes into the school and hauls the kids away. And he goes up to the guy and he says, "Hey, there's been some mistake. My daughter shouldn't be on that bus. She shouldn't be in the coalition." And he's like, "Well, what's your daughter's name?" And he says, "Well, her name is Vanessa." Vanessa. And they look down the list and they're like, "Yeah, she's on the list." And he says, "How can she be on the list? I'm an accountant. I have a very good job." And he's like, "You live on the other side of the tracks, right?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, we're taking all of the kids on that side of the street. We just assume that anybody that's on that side of the tracks aren't raising their kids right." And he's like, I haven't been interviewed. You haven't talked to me at all. And she's being taken just because of where I live." And I think there's more to it than that. It's not so much just because of where she lives, but also because she's a black child. And there is a lot of racism in this of, we don't even have to look at we don't even have to look at your finances and your home to tell that you're a bad parent. We just are making judgments based on where you live, the color of your skin, and your background, what we think your ethnic background is. Well, you're a person of color, you're probably not taking care of your kids properly. And of course that's complete crap, especially in Sam's case where, like I said, he's an accountant. He's making a lot of really good money. He can afford to give his daughter whatever she wants. And she's still being taken away just because of the color of her skin and where she lives. And this book is a prime example of how books are political, because you look around the nation right now and you see how the government keeps stepping in further and further of telling us how to raise our kids and how to take care of our kids and how we should act and how we should be and how we should look and how we should present ourselves. And the more the government is overstepping what we're doing and trying to control what we do and how we do things, the more we're getting into something very similar, like that this is a real fear that some parents have, is that, yes, the government will take my children just because they don't think I'm taking care of them the way that they should be, that they don't think I'm taking care of them according to their standards. Never mind that my kids are happy, they're healthy, they're well fed, they're getting their food, they got clothes on their back, they have more toys than they possibly need. But because of where I live, because of the color of my skin, because of our ethnic background, because of we don't spend because we get our clothes from a thrift store as opposed to a high-end department store, my kids aren't being taken care of according to what the government thinks. And this is a coalition that it's not a statewide thing, it is a nationwide thing, to where people are fleeing. In this book, people are fleeing to Canada and other countries to get away and keep their children safe and keep their children with them. And it's like, the fact that the parents can't afford to flee the country should be more than enough to tell you that they are taking care of their kids, they're capable of taking care of their kids. Because some people don't even have that option. Joseph and his mother do not have the option of fleeing the country. They don't have that kind of money. But Joseph is still being well cared for. His mom is still putting soup on the table and everything, and he lives in a town where they have the motto of "we take care of our own." So, which is why Mrs. Denver is like, "No, don't steal my eggs. Just come and ask for them. Or if your pride is too much for you, then come and work for them. I have plenty of work on this farm that you can help me do. You can help clean up the chicken coop that you keep robbing." Joseph has to deal with one guy, Kevin, who is a massive bully, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and if you're just reading the books, hate me for it later. But Kevin is absolutely my favorite character. Not young Kevin. 13-year-old Kevin in Joseph's school is a jerk. But he does re-enter the picture as an adult. And the adult that he has turned into is not surprising, really. When you see some of the things he's gone through, you get to kind of see things from his point of view. After the coalition has swept through and taken most of the kids, and they've taken so many kids from this small town that the classes are reduced to one room, because there's just not enough kids to have them in separate grades. It becomes a one-room schoolhouse. Businesses get closed down because there's the families, when their kids get taken, the parents start a rebellion called the Talon, and they start trying to help other families. They start kidnapping the kids that are in the coalition. When they go into the coalition, they come out of the coalition as enforcers, and they go missing. And Joseph tells himself the Talon is taking them, and he's fine with that. He wants the Talon to take them. As a matter of fact, he starts doing everything in his power to help the Talon, as his high position in the coalition. He uses that to help the Talon. And this is only the first in the series. I think it's a duology. But yeah. But like I said, when he goes into the coalition, he has to be ever so careful, because others in the coalition have turned against the coalition and they've disappeared, and Joseph is convinced that they've been killed. And so he's got to be careful, because if he's caught undermining the coalition, he himself could be killed. And if he's caught trying to go back to his mother's house, his mother could be killed. And obviously he wants to see her again. But he does get to reunite with one of his friends. The coalition make it a point that if you are taken from your family, they make sure that whatever new family, they put you in the Enforcers program. And once you're done in the Enforcers program, once you've graduated, they put you with another family. That family, they make sure that nobody else has a kid from the coalition that is from your town, so that you don't meet up with your old buddy and make plans to escape. And so they're very big on this, and to where Joseph is understanding that not only is he never going to see his mother again, he's never going to see any of his friends again. But then Martha Whitmer, the woman he goes to stay with, like I said, she doesn't really like kids, but she sees a potential for Joseph, and she wants to make him her husband's successor as the Supreme Commander. So she grooms him for that role. And she decides that she does some research and realizes that there is a kid that he had fondness for, that was his best friend back in his hometown, named Tess. And her name is actually Teresa, but she always went by Tess when she was in the small town. And Martha makes arrangements for Tess to be adopted by another high affluent couple who lives in the same town as Joseph, and she makes exception. She tells them that they can make an exception for her because Joseph's loyalty to the coalition, because Joseph has made it so apparent that his loyalty is to the coalition and no one else, and that he believes in the coalition's cause. And so as a result, she thinks it's a good idea to reunite him with Tess, give him that, extend to him this advantage of being a coalition loyalist, so that he keeps being loyal. And they even, the families even arrange a marriage between the two of them, and they're like, I mean, it was already a foregone conclusion that we were going to end up together if at all possible, but okay. But Joseph finds himself in a very strange world of, there's so many secrets, and it's so hard for him to know who he can really trust and who he can really be himself around, to the point that Tess is the only one he is not completely closed off to. He does keep some secrets of, you know what, I need you to not be here right now. And she's like, why? You know, you pulled in my adopted parents for questioning, you pulled in their nephew, that's technically my family, I should be here. And he's like, I need you to not be here right now. And she's like, understanding that he's not telling her everything, but also she's like, I expect explanations later, but I will do what you ask now. And Joseph ends up having to, by the time that this book is done, he's faced with the decision of, does he abandon the coalition altogether at this point, join his mother, and risk death if he and his mother are caught? Or does he return to the coalition as the Supreme Commander and continue to help other children from his side to get to the Talon? And what that means is, if he decides to jump into the role of the Supreme Commander and help from his side, it means that he is not going to see his mother again. If he abandons the coalition, he can see his mother again. And he recognizes that if he chooses the coalition, to work in the coalition to help save the children, then what he's really doing is, he is giving up potentially for the rest of his life to ever see his mother again. And that's been his biggest goal, is just to find his ma. And but at the same time, he has seen firsthand experience, not only with him being an enforcer and ripping children from their mother's arms, but seeing others being ripped from their mother's arms when he was in the coalition's enforcer program, seeing the kids come in and having this just hollow look of, they don't even know where they are, they don't know what's going on. It's like, if I can't be with my family, then I just don't want to be. And so that's what he wrestles with. Does he want to see his mother again and risk both of them being killed if they're caught? Or does he want to give up ever seeing his mother again, potentially, and continue saving these children from his side? Either way, he's going to be able to help the children. It's just, is he helping the children as they get to the Talon, or is he helping more children get to the Talon? It's a very poignant book. It's won 2 awards, the Literary Titan Award and the Impact Award, and I can absolutely see why it won the Impact Award. But yeah, as usual, the link for this book will be in the description box below. I don't know if the second book is available yet or not. If it is, I will link that book as well, and of course I will, as usual, link one of my books. I can't guarantee how good any of my books are, so take your chances with that. I can tell you that this was a good read. I got through it in a day. I actually took it on vacation with me, and my husband and I both read it, and there were times that while I was reading, I had my husband just rolling with laughter, because even though it is a very serious take on a situation that may or may not happen in our own country, the banter and the different things back and forth between the two of them, between Joseph's biggest ally is Mr. Sam, but the back and forth of these characters was amusing. There's even at one point they're talking about the legend of a hermit that lived up in the woods, and that was a cute story. And it's a legend that has a point. There is a reason that the legend is being told. Yeah. Like I said, I will link the book in the description so that you guys can get your own copy if you want it. I would definitely advise reading it, just for the political aspect alone. Other than that, I will see you next time. Bye.